Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you've ever stared at a breathtaking photograph and wondered, how on earth did they do that? Or if you're just starting out and feeling totally overwhelmed by all the dials and menus on your camera, you are in exactly the right place. Consider this your foundational masterclass for your photography journey. We're going to strip away all the noise, get back to basics, and look at what photography actually is. Get ready, because this is step one to really mastering your craft.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're covering 1. Drawing with light, 2. Why light control matters, 3. Learning from the masters, 4. Biggest beginner mistakes, and finally, 5. Your first assignment. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Drawing with light.
First things first, I need you to completely shift your mindset. Forget about the buttons, the dials, the confusing menus, and the megapixels for a second. Let's actually look at the word itself, photography. It comes from the Greek words photos, which means light, and graphé, which means drawing. So literally, photography means drawing with light. Fun fact, this term was coined all the way back in 1839. When you strip away all the modern tech, photography is simply the process of capturing light that bounces off a subject and recording it onto a medium. Back in the day, that was film. Today, it's usually a digital sensor. But you know what? The magic is exactly the same.
So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point here, the one simple truth of every single photograph, no matter how advanced it seems, is that you are just controlling how much light hits a surface and for how long. That's it. Every other thing you'll ever learn, whether it's composition, buying fancy new lenses, using editing software, all of it just serves this one single process. You are managing light.
Think of your camera like a highly disciplined eye. Right now, your own eye is constantly and automatically adjusting to the light around you. Your pupil dilates to let more light in or shrinks to let less in, and your retina processes it. Well, a camera does the exact same thing, either automatically or when you control it manually. It mimics the human eye using 3 main controls: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. We'll be diving deep into those later, but for now, just know that they are basically the camera's way of squinting or opening its eyes really wide.
Moving right along to Section 2, Why Light Control Matters.
Now that we know what photography literally means, why is understanding this so absolutely crucial? Well, if you don't realize that photography is fundamentally about controlling light, you're going to spend years just fiddling with settings, blindly guessing, and getting super frustrated when your photos just don't look right. Understanding light control actually explains the why behind all those intimidating buttons. It influences literally every professional decision you'll make. From choosing a lens to setting up a flash at a party, it all traces back to this one idea of managing light. It is the rock-solid foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
All right, Section 3, Learning from the Masters.
Let's see how this builds when we look at the absolute best in the business. Take Ansel Adams, arguably one of the most famous landscape photographers to ever live. He didn't just stumble out and take pretty pictures. He built his legendary zone system around precisely controlling how light translates into tones on a page. He demanded total mastery over how every single shade, from pure black to pure white, appeared. His genius wasn't a magic camera, it was a deep technical mastery of light itself. Or think about Steve McCurry's iconic portrait, The Afghan Girl. You've definitely seen those piercing eyes on the cover of National Geographic. Why does that photo stop you in your tracks? It works because the light on her face is incredibly soft, it's perfectly directional, and the exposure is flawless. It captivates us because of perfect light control, which proves that a breathtaking image isn't just some fancy equipment trick. It's about seeing the light.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how this applies to the supercomputer sitting in your pocket right now. When you swipe over to portrait mode on a modern smartphone to blur out the background, your phone isn't doing that purely with physical glass optics like a massive professional lens does. It's using software algorithms, and those algorithms are desperately trying to mimic exactly how professional photographers physically control light and depth. Even modern software is just trying to replicate the physics of light.
Which brings us to Section 4, Biggest Beginner Photography Mistakes.
Let's talk about the traps new photographers almost always fall into, so you can make sure to actively avoid them. First up, thinking that buying better gear automatically equals better photos. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Second, believing photography is just pressing a button and hoping the camera figures it out. Third, completely ignoring the direction and quality of the light because you are, and this is mistake number 4, focusing entirely on your subject. So many beginners find a cool subject, point their camera and hit the shutter, completely oblivious to the fact that their subject is standing in terrible, harsh light. Remember, you're photographing the light hitting the subject, not just the subject itself.
So let me just state this with absolute confidence. A skilled photographer who truly understands light, armed with a basic, cheap entry-level camera, will always outperform a beginner who's relying on a $5,000 setup. The gear has no idea what a good photo looks like. You do. Once you master light, the camera is just a tool in your hands.
Section 5. Your first photography assignment.
Okay, time to move from passive listening to active learning. Here's your very first practical exercise, and yes, you can use your phone for this. Step 1, pick one specific object, a coffee mug, a houseplant, your dog, and take a photo of it at 3 different times today: morning, midday, and evening. Step 2, do not change a single setting on your camera. Just point and shoot. Step 3, I want you to observe and actually write down how the light changed in each shot. Did the colors get warmer later in the day? Did the shadows get softer? Did the direction change? You're going to be amazed at how different the exact same object looks purely because the sun moved.
Part 2 of your homework is purely visual. I want you to hop on Instagram, browse some websites, or even open a physical magazine and find 5 photographs you genuinely love. For each one, stop and ask yourself, what is the light doing here? Where is it coming from? Is it soft and wrapping around the subject, or is it hard and creating really distinct shadows? Don't stress about being right or using the right jargon. We are just practicing the act of observing. We're training that disciplined eye.
Let's wrap things up with a quick Lesson 1 quiz.
We've covered some incredibly vital ground today, so let's do a quick knowledge check to lock these concepts in. Question 1. What does the word photography literally mean? Take a second. If you recalled those Greek roots, photos, and graphé, then you know it literally translates to drawing with light. And guys, this isn't just trivia. It is the entire core philosophy of what we do every single time we press that shutter.
Question 2. True or false? Better camera gear is the most important factor in taking a great photo. I really hope you're shouting false at the screen right now. Remember our myth-busting chat? Your ability to see and manipulate light is always going to triumph over the price tag of your equipment. Take pride in that.
Question 3. Can you name the 3 settings that control how much light reaches the camera's sensor? Think back to our biological analogy, where we compared the camera to the pupil and retina of the human eye. The answers are aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. If you got those right, amazing. If not, no sweat at all, because we're going to dedicate upcoming lessons to exactly how those work.
Finally, question 4. Why did Ansel Adams's zone system matter? It mattered because it proved that greatness isn't about relying on camera tricks. It was about precisely controlling how light translates into varying tones, from pure black to pure white. It was literally the ultimate masterclass in drawing with light. And that brings us to the end of our foundational explainer. Before I see you for Lesson 2, where we'll crack open a camera to see how it actually ticks, I want to leave you with a thought. The next time you see a photograph that absolutely stops you in your tracks, ask yourself this: what invisible story is the light telling behind the subject? Until next time, keep observing.